Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing Dead Space on the PC on Impossible difficulty, and this is my plasma cutter only run for the aforementioned title. So we're playing on the hardest difficulty. We're on chapter 4 of 12. It is entitled Obliteration Imminent. We're starting out here in the usual train depot, and I did want to clear up something very quickly about the schematics that I mentioned. I think it was in chapter 2 I said to disregard them. You definitely don't want to do that, and I apologize for giving out misinformation, but now I'm correcting that. You want the schematics because yes, they do take a slot on your inventory, but it's only temporary until you bring them to the store. Once you do that, the game will then start giving you the ammunition for the schematics that you brought to the store. So I suppose you could control it. I was just thinking about this. I suppose you could control it like the drops that are the most valuable are the line racks, and I think the contact beams, like the pulse rounds and the flamethrower ammunition, that doesn't give you very much. So I should have done that actually. Why didn't I do that? And Ripper Blades, I don't think the Ripper Blades are too valuable. So you could only just trade in the schematics that you want to. I mean, you would still get plasma cutter ammunition. I mean, otherwise you couldn't play the game. But for instance, if you just, if you chose to ignore the drops or the weapons that are going to give you this is the suit. Say for instance, why didn't I do that? I'm telling you guys now then. So if in hindsight what I should have done is not turned in the pulse round schematic, because those drops are pretty frequent and they just don't give you very much resale money. I should have done that. I should have avoided the flamethrower, so that it would increase. What that would do then it would increase your chances of getting the drops that you want. Obviously we're only using plasma energy, but the game doesn't know that we're only using the plasma cutter, so it's going to give us all the drops that we've all the drops for the weapons that we've cashed in. So after we talk to Hammond here, by hitting him of course, we're going to go back to the door, and a little foreshadowing by him. He thought he sensed some kind of big presence upstairs, and we're going to meet that big presence in the form of a brute for the first time in the game, and then we'll have another encounter with them pretty soon after this one too. So it is a boss, somewhat of a boss. It's gorilla-like in nature. It has infected areas. Okay, what I'm doing here, if you're curious, because that kind of looks mysterious what I was doing there, I was just dropping a couple of items so that the stasis is in the very first slot at the top left, so I don't have to cycle through anything, because this guy doesn't give you much chance to get your inventory, because everything that you do as far as in your inventory, it's in real time. So if somebody's charging at you, you can't just pause the screen to select what you need. However, in Dead Space 2, they do have the triangle button or the Y button assigned to automatically apply the stasis, and the square button automatically applies health. So you can hit this guy on his back or the backs of his legs. Do you see the infected areas? Anywhere where it's yellow, if you're hitting him there, then you're doing the right thing. You could also sever one of his arms. And I don't know if that triggers. Sometimes he will regurgitate things at you that you can actually fling back at him with the kinesis module. So I can't verify when he does that. I think it's after he loses a limb. But he'll periodically do this where he drops down, and it's kind of patronizing, because I've always thought that, it's just the game's way of saying that we know that this enemy's pretty fast, and we know he's hard to hit, so we're just going to let you have all these free hits. After this fight, I'm going to increase my stasis, the duration of it, all the way up. There's two attributes to the stasis. One is energy, the other is duration. The duration obviously is how long these enemies are rendered immobile when you use the stasis. That's, I think, a lot more better and valuable than energy. What the energy is kind of it's definitely not something I'm upgrading, because all it is that it either gives you more or less of, well, not less, but you know, the stasis recharge stations periodically that are in the maps. It'll give you more from those machines, so you could, I don't know, you could just use the code if you wanted to that I mentioned. It's XYYXY to just refill your stasis. Now, right there, I'm gonna have to go through the energy to get up to these duration ones. So I'm forsaking everything else right now just to upgrade the stasis, and I'm also applying one to the damage and I think to the reload right there. And I also put a note in here for myself, which I think I'll just remove now that I remember to talk about it. Off camera, what I did was I went back and I upgraded the HP parameters of the suit. So I'll just leave it in. What the hell? So this would be in fast forward, and then what I did was I went back to I bought a node here, and I went back and upgraded the suit's HP. So right there's my notation. Hopefully I spelled everything wrong, or right, excuse me. We're gonna go in here now, and this game is tedious because a lesser guide maker would just put these elevator sequences in real time, but I speed every single one of them up. Some of them are very long. So coming in here now, we're just going to slowly walk around and look for things. That was a good idea. I just, like, right when I was speaking about not turning in the schematics that you don't want, like, literally that just occurred to me when I was talking about it just now. It's a good idea. Okay, so here's a schematic for the contact beam. I believe those are pretty valuable too. But, you know, we can't have all the foreknowledge in the world, that's for sure. So this guy's going to pop up, and there's a stasis recharge module in here. Not a module, but a machine. So those are the ones that I mentioned. If you have the energy all the way up, you'll get more from them. But they regenerate over time, so I guess it's a matter of if you really need it badly in a pinch, like during a fight, it would behoove you to have those energy weld nodes filled out with power nodes. I love the way the power nodes works. I love the whole structure of how it is in the first two games. The third game, I hate it. I hate making guns. I hated everything about it. I think the third game it just strayed away from everything this game stands for. They rested far too heavily on their laurels, and it's just an atrocity. So I remember a long time ago getting an achievement or a trophy for allowing some of these guys to get killed via the disruptions of the gravity right there. I'm not really sure what it is, but just stay away from it because it's instant death. The enemies can be lured into getting hit by those. And the first guy that you saw when we got into this area, that's programmed to do that, so that wasn't anything that I did myself or controlled in any way. And then we're going to have another brute coming up. So it's strange that they put two brutes so close together. And you get a checkpoint right before too. So this game actually came out in 2008. I said it came out in 2010. That was incorrect of me. So it is an old game, but it's not so old that it doesn't grant you checkpoints. Like when you die, you're not always going to start back at the save station unless it's very close to where you actually turn out to die. Okay, so here are a couple more leapers. No, those aren't the leapers, are they? Are those the lurkers? I think they're just called lurkers. The leapers are the ones with the tails. And we have another stasis recharge station down here. So let's see how much this gives me. Oh, and another guy. I heard something back here, and it's nice too that the ammunition stuns enemies too. It has you don't even have to upgrade it. It has a stun effect to it, which is very helpful for enemies that are charging at you. So it kind of drives them back a little bit. So let's see if that filled me all the way up. Yeah, I guess it did, but I already had some. So this guy's going to come into the picture right here. And this would actually be very difficult if there were those disruptions in the panels that were instant death. So anytime you need stasis, do not use your own here unless you want to for some reason. You can actually go back right behind those cabinets that we use the kinesis to move to get to this area, and I don't think he follows you. I could pretty much actually confirm that because I've played this so many times. He doesn't follow you. And so this will be the suit that carries me through the end of the game. If you watched video 1 of my guide, I told you guys that I had used the tank suit for my campaign on the plasma cutter only, which granted me 60% damage resistance. So this suit here only has 10% damage resistance, so I have 50% less damage resistance than I did before. So it's going to be a lot more challenging of a campaign that way. Because believe it or not, there are going to be some really damn hard fights coming up. So this guy's going down. Just look for any shimmering thing that falls out of his body, because if you keep shooting too much, you're going to be wasting ammo. You don't want to be shooting a dead enemy that's already dropped and given you the item that he was going to give you. So we got a power node. So I would say the general rule of thumb about those is just to save them for the node doors. Sometimes I do have 0 on hand, and I realize that I'm contradicting myself about that, but I generally will have one just in case I need one for the doors, because they're I won't say they're always worth it, because I can't remember every certain door. There might be 1 or 2 that don't benefit you very much, but at the very least 9 out of 10 rooms are going to give you more back than what you're spending, which is 10,000 in essence, because sometimes you just get one from that drop, but everything equals out because you're actually you're using bullets which cost credits to kill things, which then give you power nodes. Sometimes. I love the waypoint indicator. I love being told where to go. I just love it. I hate the mystery of not knowing where to go in a game. So it looks like we forgot to pick this up in our haste. So it's not too much, and then we're going to come back here. And the little crawling bugs are called dividers. I got that. And the other, those winged enemies in the previous video, those are called, or video 2, those are called infectors. So 2 enemies over here to take care of, and then you can save your progress. And we're gonna go downstairs. If you come up here and then go back downstairs, like to go to the store before fighting that brute up here, you'll have to do this fight down here. So you can do it whenever you want to. So this is a very long elevator ride down. And now we'll have a fight versus some leapers. So just distance yourself from them, stasis them, get on them quickly, and just use the opposite angle. You know how I mentioned that before. Horizontal angles are best dealt with via the vertical axis, and vice versa. Sometimes if you're in a lot of haste, you just want to shoot the enemy and get it over with. There is a little bit of a delay when you're switching the plasma cutter, the axis of it. And I don't think it's input lag like I mentioned before. I just think it's just the process of the game switching. But I wish it was a little faster. So there is actually one more of these then I'm going to show you on screen, because I put an edit mark over here, then I went to go to the store, and then there was one left. So if you need to count for those, just count however many I took care of, and then there's one more in addition to those guys. So here's a little bit of a stumbling block because we're on level 2, but you can go to level 1 or 3. You might not be able to do anything on level 3 though. Okay, we're gonna move right on now. I got some great news, everybody. Take off VSync, whatever you do when you're playing this game. It's going to sacrifice some of the screen tearing you get, but I was really annoyed with the loading times. I mean, I've been sitting in my chair for a full minute waiting for the load to finish, and I just got sick and tired of it, so I did a Google search, and several dozen people were telling their story about taking the VSync off. So I've had it on the entire campaign, because why wouldn't I want VSync? It's very helpful for getting rid of that screen tearing. And now minute-long loading times are now less than a second, at the most 1 second for loading times. And even better, or about the same, I would say the same kind of wonderfulness, the sensitivity now is very quick as I swing the camera around the character. I've been lamenting about it in videos past. There's actually no sensitivity settings for the 360 paddle or controller, whatever designation you like to call it. But now I can actually very rapidly move the camera around. It's not too fast nor too slow. It's perfect. Everything's perfect now. So go into the visual settings, take the VSync off, and you'll get rid of those loading times. And also you'll have the ability to actually play this game, because before, just moving the camera around was a labor that was excruciating to do. So I've never been more excited about my future, the future of my channel, or of my guide, or of my prospects of my odyssey with this game. Never have I been so excited about my future. So we're going to be going strong with this guide, having fun, and it's going to only cost us a small sacrifice of taking the VSync off, and instead of 60 frames a second, the game's now 120 frames a second. I knew it wasn't my video card, because my video card, it's a brand new $300 video card. So a very poorly optimized port by Electronic Arts. So this area here, be careful, because I typically run out of ammo over here, and I actually did run out of ammo over here. So what do you do in a situation like that? You just have to run. Fortunately for us, we have environmental hazards around this room, which a couple of these dark slashers are going to run into. when they're trying to chase me. First of all, we have a couple of leapers, lurkers, excuse me, the lurkers to deal with. So that was a very close call. So what's going to happen is once you activate the panel in the middle of this room, well, it's not in the middle, it's at the outskirts of the room where we're at by the seats. I guess where the piloting area is. You're going to get yourself a checkpoint. And we're going to have what do we have? Oh, it's an infector animating a couple of corpses in the distance. So you want to take this guy out very quickly. Look at all these bodies. See the bodies up there too. They could possibly get infected. So as long as you dispatch the I just said his name. The infected, the inhabitors. What the fuck are their names? I don't know. I don't know what the fuck they're called. But if you head back here, see, they get killed. These guys right here. They're infectors. That's what they're called, infectors. So I got a little plasma energy left, and that was a lesson I had to learn about conserving my ammunition. So when we head back down, I'm going to buy a lot of ammo. I think one of my most favorite chapters in this game is when you go into the mining area, and it has a lot of challenging fights, and it's an area where I always run out of ammo. So I'm just going to let this guy jump on me because I have no ammo left. So I decided to just let him jump on me because he doesn't take very much away if you do these quick time events rapidly. And I can't tell you how beautiful it is to play this game now with it properly, with it playing in the proper manner. You know, it's finally a PC game. Before it was like it was still on the PC, but it was like console, just ghetto shit going on. So now we've got some actual quality. And yes, we're going to have screen tearing, but I'd rather have screen tearing than wait through a minute worth of loading times every time. Which they didn't average a minute. They usually averaged about 30 seconds. But for a PC game, when you have a $300 video card, that's unacceptable. 2 seconds is too long for loading, in my opinion. I would say on PC, that would be my standard. Now for consoles, you know, we're dealing with pretty much obsolete software. Even the PS4 has obsolete hardware components in it, which makes it really pathetic. I'm just kidding. It's not completely obsolete, but with technology changing so quickly, we're going to have a pregnant right here, and there's also going to be a slasher jumping out of the door. The way you prevent having to fight two at one time is to not go too far up this room. There is a tripwire point a little bit a ways up, which will make that slasher jump out of the ceiling panel. So collect your cash, and we'll deal with this one. Obviously these ones, they're darker in aspect, they're fiercer, and they do a sidestep, which possibly might be specific to their particular variant of that enemy. But what happens is you'll be aiming, they'll sidestep your shot, you waste the ammo, and they can possibly get a hit in on you. So the next chapter is going to be a long chapter too. It might be the longest one thus far, possibly the longest video in the guide, and it will have a boss fight versus the Leviathan, which is actually very easy of an encounter. So we're going to speed these up and go to the next section here.
Isaac, you're going to have to cross the ship exterior.
Okay, so you want to grab this air canister,
We're still getting bombarded by asteroids. Look for cover
and
before you get torn to pieces.
you can upgrade your rig to have yourself more air, more oxygen, but I don't think I'll be doing that because it's my opinion it's a waste. So what's happening here is that asteroids are hitting this part of the ship, but if you stay close enough to these retaining walls, then they won't hit you. But if you step out too quickly before they stop, you'll get instantly torn up. And if you want to, you can do this, which is to go on to different angles of this and speed up the process a little bit. It's not a trick or anything that's going to make you not have to consume that canister of air, because it's a long stretch here. And even if so, the theory mainly is that at least on like the first few of these is that you don't have to go from 1 to 1 to 1. Like you generally can skip one. It might be a close call, but you'll get to the wall normally before it happens. And then we'll be coming up on a firing sequence, which if anybody has this trophy for having the integrity of the ship, I think it's at, or well, I know it's 80, but I don't know if it's at or above, or just above 80. If it can be 80, it probably can't be 79. But there's a trophy, and it's a Star Wars reference, Nice Shot Kid or something like that. If anybody has that achievement, I think it's the hardest achievement to get in any game. Because when I was finished with this, I had 35% hull integrity. Wait a second, it starts at 85. Let me see that trophy really quickly. Don't mind my performance. You can mock it if you like, because I don't care. All I care about is clearing it. Dead space. Nice shot, kid. What is that achievement? Oh, it's called Don't Get Cocky, Kid. Let's see. Yeah, it's strange why you start out with 85%. It says the game difficulty has no bearing on the minigame difficulty. You'll always start with 85%. So what's the criteria for the trophy? Don't Get Cocky achievement. I'm trying to find this. Pardon me while I'm searching. Don't Get Cocky, Kid. Oh, okay, here it is. It wasn't 80. I love when you go to websites and all there is on your phone, and there's just a bunch of pop-up ads. Okay, where is it? Don't Get Cocky, Kid. Where is it?
Nice shooting, Isaac. Auto targeting is now online and clearing a path to safe orbit. As soon as we're
fuck is it?
engage the autopilot again. Head to the tram station. I'll meet you there.
Okay, here it is. Don't Get Cocky, Kid. It's a bronze level trophy. Survive the ADS cannon with over 50% shield strength remaining. So literally by what it says, if 50 is not good enough, you have to have over 50, but it probably might be. But the wording here says, survive the ADS cannon with over 50% shield strength remaining. I thought it was 80. 50. I might be able to pull that off, but I still I think that's the hardest achievement in any game. And that's coming from someone who is ignorant of a lot of trophies, but from what I've played, I've never seen anything that resembles that in difficulty. And I was trying to do that with my mouse, and I just wasn't doing very well. So if anybody has that, I would like to know. There's a lot of interesting things in this game. There's there's another shooter coming up that's like in like a little shooting gallery scenario. It's really fun, and you can get rewards for doing it. I'll probably engage in it. So we're leaving now. We only have one more confrontation, I think. Although there might be some bugs out here. These here, I don't know the names of off the top of my head. So if you want to leave straight away, just go to level 2. And I'm not sure where we collected that ruby semiconductor, but it's worth a lot of money to sell. Where did we get that? Oh, it might have been in the node room door. So yeah, I managed to sell that, and I think it's pretty valuable. It might be like 15,000. But that's the last confrontation in this room. There's going to be one more slasher, though. Let me see how much those run for. Dead Space. Ruby Semi. Just to give you an idea. Ruby Semiconductor. Ruby Semiconductors can be sold at the store for 10,000. So you basically swap it out for a power node, since those are the same price. Anyway, you guys, that's the end of the chapter. Thanks for sticking with me. And we're going to have a fantastic guide now that I know how to take that V-Sync off. So take care, and I'll see you in chapter 5.